Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that the week of June 30th through July 4th will see reruns of the most shocking episodes, giving fans a chance to relive past betrayals and mounting tensions. While the brand new episodes won't premiere until July 4th and run through July 11th due to unforeseen scheduling issues. In this fresh, expansive take on the world behind the neon lights and dark corridors, alliances are forged in whispers and broken with a single lie, every glance, every overheard snippet. And every trembling confession will set off a chain reaction none will escape unscathed. From the moment the doors open on Ted Richardson's austere, glass-walled office, we feel the electric charge between two women on a collision course. Eva Thomas strides in, her brow furrowed, heels clicking sharply on the marble floor, each step a reminder of her ambition and the secrets she guards. Across the polished conference table sits Catherine "Cat" Richardson, her posture taut with controlled grace, eyes cool and assessing. The air is thick with unspoken history. Eva once held Cat's job, once stood in her shoes, and once believed that loyalty and hard work alone could carry her to the top. Now, facing her former mentor, Eva spits out a cutting indictment. "You're nothing but a selfish, broken bitch," her voice a raw blend of contempt and wounded pride. Cat's lips curl in a half-smile that doesn't reach her eyes as she replies, "Is that really the best you can do?" Every syllable drips with disdain, yet beneath the bravado, both women know this is more than a quarrel over a position. It is a battle for identity, for control over Ted's legacy and the direction of his empire. In that moment, the glass walls seem to amplify their voices, each insult reverberating like a cannon shot in a silent cathedral. Cat rises gracefully, smoothing the lapels of her tailored jacket, as if sweeping away Eva's challenge along with the crumbs on the table. She gestures to the door. "I'll give you a crash course in what it really takes to run this place. Follow me." And so Eva, heels clicking behind her like an echo of her own insecurities, steps into the labyrinth of Ted's inner sanctum, a gauntlet of whispered confidences and razor-sharp expectations. Here begins her trial by fire, a journey through boardroom betrayals, clandestine phone calls, and late-night strategy huddles that will test her resolve and force her to reckon with how far she's willing to go to survive and thrive in the shadow of a woman she both admires and despises. Meanwhile, in the sterile fluorescence of the city police station, detective work unspools at a slower, more deliberate pace. Jacob Hawthorne, the honest scion of a venerable family, sits stiffly in a vinyl chair, his tie slightly askew, as he recounts the breadcrumbs he's gathered. Across from him is Bradley Smitty Smith, streetwise, loyal, and possessed of a keen eye for inconsistencies. Smitty leans forward, arms resting on the desk, voice low and urgent. He sketches the outline of a conspiracy that stretches from the underbelly of the casino world to the gilded halls of the Dupri fortune. "I found a link between Vernon Dupri and Detective Marcel Malone." Jacob's jaw tightens at the mention of Malone, a decorated investigator rumored to play both sides for favors and small-time graft. As Smitty lays out his evidence, bank statements, phone records, a blurry photograph of Vernon, slipping a manila envelope to Malone, Jacob's world tilts. His calm, methodical upbringing clashes with the messy reality of his family's potential sins. He questions every memory of his childhood visits to the Dupri estate, every invitation to Vernon's country club soirees. Suddenly, the line between ally and adversary blurs, and Jacob must decide whether to expose the corruption and risk his family's name or bury the truth and become complicit. Not far from that precinct, under the neon buzz of Joey Armstrong's high-stakes casino, another drama unfolds in the smoke-thick air. 2 years ago, at this very place, Kenneth nearly met his end at the hands of Randy Parker. That night, Randy's trembling fingers hovered over the trigger, but he hesitated, haunted by the magnitude of his task: eliminate Kenneth and bury a secret too explosive to live. Now, Martin Richardson, Ted's brother, has lured Randy back with a promise of $100,000 in hush money, insisting that Kenneth must pay for enduring silent screams of the past. Under the garish lights of the baccarat table, Randy corners Kenneth, voice barely above a hiss. You remember that night, don't you? You owe me. Kenneth's eyes, once bright with gambler's optimism, dim with a recognition of the debt he can never repay. Even if Martin's money exchange secures Randy's immediate silence, the fear that someone like Smitty or Jacob might unearth the truth makes each dollar a drop in a reservoir of guilt that threatens to drown them all. Across town, the elegant chandeliers of the Dupri Country Club dining room cast warm light over a different kind of confrontation. Vernon Dupri, in a crisp dinner jacket, raises a glass of vintage Burgundy to Danny Dupri, his niece, whose eyes sparkle with curiosity and something darker jealousy, perhaps, or the thrill of uncovering family intrigue. Danny's voice, measured and subtly accusatory, cuts through the polite murmur of the other patrons. Is Martin the reason you've been so distracted lately? Vernon's hand trembles ever so slightly as he sets down his glass, the question pinpointing the festering worry he's tried to hide. He opens his mouth to deflect some story about work commitments or charitable foundations, but the lie catches in his throat. Danny leans forward, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper, because if Martin's pulling strings behind the scenes, I want in. The privilege of their surname no longer grants her comfort. Instead, it's a gilded cage she's desperate to break free from. As Vernon glances at the ornate clock on the wall, anxieties about loyalty and legacy swirl between them, threatening to upend the fragile balance of power in the Dupri dynasty. At the city hospital, the sterile antiseptic air is pierced by the frantic tones of a telephone. Naomi Hawthorne, once the picture of calm professionalism, paces the corridor in her nurse's scrubs, phone pressed to her ear. Jacob, you need to get here now, she implores, voice quavering. It's an emergency. On the other end, Jacob's heart clenches at Naomi's panic. She never panics. She tells him that Bill Hamilton, Jacob's uncle by marriage, a beloved figure in the Hawthorne family, has suffered a stroke minutes ago. The implication is chilling. Bill had been recovering steadily, and a relapse could mean the end of the Hamilton line's matriarchal pillar. As Jacob dials into the hospital's extension, memories of Bill's laughter echo in his mind, weekend barbecues on lazy Sundays, gentle advice offered over cups of coffee, the way Bill always took Jacob's hand as if to remind him that family, above all, endures. Racing through the sliding doors into the ER waiting area, Jacob braces himself for the fallout. Every family secret he's wrestling with, every alliance he's forging in the police station, now collides with the urgent need to be there for the man who's always been his rock. Meanwhile, in a quieter corner of the hospital cafeteria, Andre Richardson and Ashley Morgan sit across from each other at a small table, hands entwined. The fragile warmth of their burgeoning relationship blossoms under the harsh overhead lights, tentative smiles, shared glances, hopeful laughter. But their moment of connection cannot escape the piercing gaze of Danny Dupri, who sits at the next table, watching them with a simmering resentment. Danny's lips press into a thin line as she observes Andre's gentle touch and Ashley's delighted laugh. From her vantage point, every gesture between them feels like a betrayal, every shared secret a slight against her own unspoken hopes for Andre's affection. In that moment, Danny decides that she will not be ignored. She will make her own moves, playing the same games of desire and power that swirl around every table in this story. Out on the casino floor, Joey Armstrong and Randy Parker huddle in a corner near the craps table, voices low and tense. Joey's normally swaggering confidence wavers. The weight of unseen threats lines his brow. When Doug McBredeith, casino's chief surgeon, and Vanessa McBride's father steps into view, he frowns at the tension crackling between them. What the hell is going on here? Doug demands, his tone more protective father than medical professional. In an instant, Joey's hand hovers over the black felt of the table where a polished revolver lies, a silent promise of violence that crackles in the air. A rapid flash cuts to Vanessa McBride at the bar, dark hair cascading over her shoulders. She leans against the counter, Doug beside her, and turns to Randy with a single, pointed question. Are you afraid of Joey? Randy's throat tightens and he breathes out a single word, terrified. That admission, simple as it is, reverberates through the smoky hay. Fear, in this world, is weaponized, and once unleashed, it corrupts every alliance. Meanwhile, miles away in a humble neighborhood diner, Haley Hamilton and Leslie Thomas strike up an unexpected camaraderie. Seated face to face over steaming mugs of coffee and half-eaten plates of French toast, Leslie tilts her head and asks, "So, what exactly are we doing to help each other?" Haley's face lights up with an almost mischievous grin. Here, two women from disparate worlds, one born into privilege, the other forged by adversity, find common ground in their shared grievances against the Dupri family. Over the clink of silverware and the hiss of coffee machines, they sketch out plans of vengeance, a whisper campaign to undermine Danny's influence, subtle manipulations to isolate Vernon, a carefully calibrated leak to the press that will expose the fractures in the Dupri legacy. Their voices lower, conspiratorial, but each word fuels their confidence. They will become the architects of a downfall they both have waited years to see. Later that evening, a quick cut shows Andre and Ashley outside the same bar where Randy once faced Joey's threat. Ashley's arm snakes through Andre's, and he turns to her with a roguish grin. "Ready to make a scene?" he asks, voice playful yet tinged with defiance. Inside, Danny stands at the bar, eyes narrowed, a designer purse clutched so tightly her knuckles have gone white. Without warning, she hurls it across the counter, an act of petty rebellion that sends patrons flinching. The scene ripples with tension. On one side, a couple discovering joy in brief respite. On the other, a woman fueled by envy and spurned expectations. As night falls, the neon glow of Joey Armstrong's sign paints every surface in lurid color. The disparate threads of ambition, fear, loyalty, and revenge weave together into a tapestry of mounting peril. Each character stands at a precipice. Eva, thrust into Ted's inner world. Kat, sharpening her strategies. Jacob and Smitty, edging toward a truth that could shatter their world. Randy, haunted by a debt of blood. Naomi, racing against time. Danny, consumed by jealousy. Joey and Doug, balancing crime and family. Haley and Leslie, planning a reckoning. And Andre and Ashley, discovering the fragility of love in a landscape of enmity. As the clock ticks toward the climax, alliances will fray, secrets will burst forth like trapped flames, and no one will emerge unscathed from the labyrinth of lies and desires set in motion. In the coming days, when new episodes finally return on July 4th, viewers will witness betrayals deeper than any before, confrontations hotter than the neon blaze, and a showdown that will redefine every relationship in this treacherous world. The early moves have been made. Now the game accelerates, and the question remains: who will rise, who will fall, and who will be lost forever beyond the gates? As dawn breaks over the city, the aftermath of last night's storm of emotions ripples through every corner of the lives entwined in Ted Richardson's empire. Eva Thomas arrives at the office before sunrise, determined to prove that Kat's grueling tutelage has not broken her spirit, but tempered it into something sharper, more resilient. As she settles into the leather chair behind Ted's own desk, still scented faintly with his cologne, she allows herself a moment to reflect on how far she's come. The polished nameplate now reads Z. Thomas, a small but potent symbol of her ascent. Yet in the silence, she hears the echo of Kat's calm, measured voice warning that power is a double-edged sword. She knows today she must wield it wisely. When Kat Richardson steps through the door, her expression unreadable, she pauses at the threshold and surveys Eva. The protégé squares her shoulders in response to that invisible appraisal. Kat offers no words of greeting, only a nod that signifies both acknowledgement and warning. Their alliance has shifted. Eva realizes that the training she received was never meant merely to prepare her for an administrative role. It was a crucible designed to reveal her true mettle. Now, as the two women sit across from one another for the first strategic planning session of the day, it's clear that mentorship has given way to partnership tinged with rivalry. Kat slides a dossier across the desk. Martin's investments have shown anomalies. I need your perspective. Eva opens the files, noting coded financial transfers that implicate Martin in funding schemes beyond the board's knowledge. Her pulse quickens, could expose these irregularities and secure her own position irrevocably, but doing so might destroy the Richardson legacy she once revered. The choice she makes will echo through every corridor of power. Meanwhile, at the precinct, the mood is tense as Jacob Hawthorne and Smitty Smith pore over the new evidence they obtained. The photograph of Vernon Dupri exchanging envelopes with Detective Marcel Malone has been authenticated, and phone records place the two together late into the night after the casino incident. This is bigger than I thought, Jacob muses, voice low. If Vernon's pulling strings with Malone, someone else must be profiting. Smitty taps a finger against a stack of ledgers. Look here, this account, in the name of a shell company. That's where Martin's hush money is filtered when Randy needs it. The realization sends a chill through them both. Their families, long-standing pillars of the city's power structure, are complicit in a web of bribery and violence. They agree to present their findings to the Internal Affairs Division, but not before confronting Vernon and Martin directly, to give them a chance at confession and to measure just how far they'll go to preserve their reputations. Across town, Danny Dupri stews in the Dupri mansion's sunlit conservatory, nursing a glass of iced tea and a bruised heart. Her plan to ingratiate herself with Vernon by probing his distraction suddenly feels hollow now that she's seen Smitty's photographs. She realizes her uncle has been using her naivete to shield his misdeeds. With each sip she tastes betrayal. In a sudden burst of resolve, she dials Andre Richardson's number. When he picks up, she forces her voice steady. Meet me at the greenhouse. I have something you need to see. At the same moment, she texts Ashley Morgan with an invitation to join as an observer and olive branch wrapped in confession. Danny knows that revealing the truth to Andre and Ashley could unite them as adversaries of the men who have manipulated them all, but she also risks alienating the one person she longs to impress most. She braces herself for heartbreak, fortified by righteous indignation. Back at Joey Armstrong's casino, the tension crackles like static in the air. A hush falls over the baccarat table as Randy Parker approaches Kenneth, who stands alone beneath the glaring lights. Before words can be exchanged, Linda Caldwell, an undercover IAD agent posing as a cocktail waitress, slips a badge into Randy's palm. He stares at the shield, disbelief warping his features. Yuri with Internal Affairs? Randy whispers. Kenneth's eyes widen. All at once he understands that his would-be killer is now his unlikely ally. Together, they slip away to a private booth where Randy reveals the full extent of Martin Richardson's pressure and the promise of that $100,000 hush payment. Kenneth, trembling but determined, records the confession on his phone. As the recording ends, he looks at Randy without anger for in admitting the truth. Randy has relinquished the power to harm him. A fragile peace blooms between them, sealed by a shared secret that could topple the powerful if wielded at the right moment. Not far from the casino, Doug McBride watches over Vanessa at her favorite bar. She stirs her drink absent-mindedly, eyes distant. Doug's protective instincts flare when he notices her distress. Sitting down beside her, he asks softly, "What's really on your mind?" Vanessa leans in, voice hushed. "I'm scared for Randy." She recounts the earlier encounter with Joey and Randy's admission of fear. Doug's jaw tightens. The doctor in him wants to protect, but the daughter in him is outraged at the injustice. He promises Vanessa he'll leverage his connections in the medical community to flag any suspicious injuries to Randy, but he also feels compelled to inform Idichi owes the truth to the city he's sworn to heal. Meanwhile, at the Hawthorne family estate, Naomi paces the polished floors of the villa that adjoins the hospital grounds. Nancy, Jacob's cousin, has taken over patient care for Bill Hamilton, who remains unconscious in the ICU. Naomi's phone buzzes with updates, each one raising fresh worries. Bill's blood pressure has spiked. The CT scan revealed a small clot. She knows that the family will rally around Bill, yet she also senses that his condition could precipitate confessions long suppressed. After all, Bill's final wishes recorded in a holographic testament could reshape the Hamilton and Hawthorne legacies forever. Determined, Naomi arranges for the hospital chapel to be available should Bill regain consciousness. She wants him lucid to speak his mind directly to Jacob and reveal the last secret he's kept safe for decades. In the heart of the din and clatter, Haley Hamilton and Leslie Thomas put the finishing touches on their campaign of subtle sabotage. Haley secures a flattering feature in a local lifestyle magazine hinting at Danny Dupri's insecurities and suggesting that Vernon's attentions are on more industrious airs. Leslie feeds anonymous tips to a powerful blogger known for pulling no punches. They coordinate via encrypted messages, orchestrating leaks timed to coincide with a high-profile charity gala the Dupris are hosting that very night. Over chamomile tea in Haley's garden, they share a triumphant glance. Tonight, the Dupri name will be besmirched in public view, and Danny's veneer of privilege will crack. As evening descends, the grand lawn of the Dupri estate glitters with fairy lights. Guests arrive in evening finery, unaware of the scandals poised to erupt. Kat and Eva step out of a limousine, clad in gowns that speak of power reclaimed and ambition realized. Eva's arm is linked with Kat's as they pass under the fluttering banners, and for just a heartbeat, their icy rivalry softens into mutual respect. Then, as they approach a lectern for a ceremonial toast to the Richardson Family Foundation, Kat inclines her head toward Eva, signaling her to take the microphone first. Eva's practiced smile lights up the gathering as she begins. "We stand on the precipice of new beginnings." Her carefully chosen words hint at reforms and transparency, an oblique promise to cleanse the family's business dealings without uttering a single accusation. The audience breaks into polite applause, while Kat watches from the wings, measuring how deeply the seed of reform has taken root. Elsewhere, Jacob Hawthorne and Smitty slip through the garden's shadowed hedges, making their way toward the grand tent. Clutching folders thick with evidence, they take seats near the front to witness the toast, but their real target is Vernon Dupri, standing near the bandstand with Danny at his side. As Vernon raises his glass, Jacob catches his eye and holds it with unwavering intensity. In that locked gaze, a silent challenge passes. "Speak of unity now, for the truth will shatter it soon." Smitty nudges Jacob, showing him a discreet text he's just received. Internal Affairs has greenlit an undercover operation based on their findings. Tonight, a team of officers waits off-site, ready to move in once Vernon or Martin is implicated. Underneath the cavernous tent, Danny Dupri shoulders through the crowd, her smile tight as makeup over a bruise. She spies Andre and Ashley standing by the refreshment table. Andre's casual assurance, Ashley's supportive hand on his arm. Emboldened, she strides toward them and, with a low voice meant only for their ears, says, "I have something that will change everything." She presses a USB drive into Andre's hand. On it, she's compiled Smitty's photos, Kenneth's recorded confession, and snippets of Jake's interrogation transcripts. Andre's eyes widen in shock, but Ashley's expression shifts from concern to fierce determination. They glance at each other. This is the moment they decide whether to stand silent or to join the unfolding reckoning. Suddenly, the soft hum of conversation halts as a phone rings in a front pocket. It's Jacob's emergency alert. Bill Hamilton has woken briefly and is asking for his nephew. Jacob bolts upright. Smitty grips his arm. "We need to confront Martin and get him to talk before he slips away." They slip out into the night toward a waiting car, Lena from IAD at the wheel. Meanwhile, Naomi arrives at the ICU, her face pale but resolute. Bill's eyes flutter open as she enters. For the first time, the man who has guided two great families back from turmoil fixes his gaze on her. He whispers Jacob's name, and Naomi nods, tears welling as she promises to send him in right away. Back at the tent, Kat steps forward to close the formal portion of the evening, raising her glass in praise of legacy and renewal, her words laced with intention, a challenge to any who would threaten the institution she's bent to her will. When she finishes, Eva takes Kat's arm and retreats to the garden balcony, where they allow themselves a private moment. Kat extends her hand and places it over Eva's. "You've done well," she says quietly, and for once, the mentor's pride is evident. Eva nods, understanding that power shared can be power multiplied. Below them, the flash of camera bulbs captures the last images of a dynasty in its gilded heyday, an image destined to be tarnished by the revelations poised to erupt. In the electric darkness outside the tent, Jacob and Smitty emerge from the car, greeted by discreet cuffs and badges. They slip inside the tent, weaving through startled guests, and approach Vernon Dupri and Martin Richardson just as they attempt to flee toward the service exit. With calm authority, IAD officers announce the arrests: bribery, conspiracy, attempted murder, obstruction of justice. Thunder rumbles in the distancia, portent of the storm about to break. Danny steps forward, tears of vindication shining in her eyes, while Andre and Ashley stand behind her, unwavering. Joey Armstrong and Doug McBride, drawn by the chaos, appear at the edge of the clearing, watching as the empire of privilege trembles under the weight of its own sins. The music skitters to a halt, guests murmur and step back, the carefully curated illusion of grandeur stripped away in an instant. In the hush that follows, Jacob glances toward the hospital shuttle bearing news of Bill Hamilton's recovery. Naomi emerges beside him, offering a smile that speaks of hard-won hope. Eva and Kat descend the balcony stairs together, united in a triumph that neither could claim alone. Haley and Leslie slip through the crowd, their campaign vindicated. Whispers of their anonymous exposé circulate among the guests like wildfire. Across the lawn, Kenneth watches Randy, free at last from the threat that once loomed over him, sharing a quiet nod. In that moment, alliances fracture and new loyalties bind, heralding a future as uncertain as it is electric. And though the night's drama has reached its climax, the reverberations will echo far beyond these gates. Every character, Eva, Kat, Jacob, Smitty, Vernon, Danny, Randy, Kenneth, Martin, Naomi, Bill, Andre, Ashley, Joey, Vanessa, Doug, Haley, and Leslie has faced the crucible of truth, and some have emerged transformed, while others lie in ruins. As the final officers lead the handcuffed men away, the survivors know that rebuilding will require more than mended reputations. It will demand a reckoning with the very soul of the city they inhabit. But tonight, at least, justice has found its moment, and beyond these gates, a new dawn waits on the horizon.